Chapter 4. Nora. Roth is in again. Ryan warns from my office doorway. His muscular frame tugs at my gaze from under his dress shirt and cropped slacks. You got your pitch ready? I tap one of my matte black acrylics against my temple. I have it all up here. You always do. He smirks, his palms raised in surrender. His compliment nearly makes me blush, and I'm reminded of this undeniable light he carries. I catch glimpses of it in the words he speaks, and sometimes in the way he simply carries himself. Ryan's light suddenly dissolves as unease sweeps the entire floor. Through the wall of windows separating my office from the networked nobodies, I see Samuel Roth. His energy permeates the room, forcing heads to turn. People stand from their seats just to catch a glimpse of his alluring presence. To word it bluntly, Samuel is one ugly son of a bitch, but he's also a brilliant son of a bitch. I've picked up on the fact that he knows TV screens are for the beautiful and the charismatic, not the ugly. So he rules from behind the screens, dominating the entire industry. Eyes, chin, shoulders. I adjust my posture, preparing to pitch Samuel the TV show idea I've worked through nonstop the past 2 days. It's showtime, I whisper, now standing next to Ryan at the doorway. Since Samuel promoted me, I've sought out silence, working on a show idea that will disrupt television in the best possible way. I remember driving home the other night, hearing the faint whisper at the side of that morbid display. The whisper hung the idea in my mind like a delicate ethereal mistletoe, waiting for me to step into its embrace. It called, and I answered. I'm sure Samuel will do the same. As Samuel approaches my office, the distance between us dissolves. He looks down at me, and his elongated face leans forward, his long and wiry fingers finding mine. Hello, Nora. His touch is devoid of human warmth, the same way it was the first time we met. I welcome the chill, making it known in the way I shake his hand. Ryan and I greet Samuel in unison before Samuel's slender body slips between us into the office. With his hands locked behind his lower back, he observes the small room. My office is more of a glorified cubicle than it is an actual office. It's hardly spacious enough for Samuel, Ryan, and myself. Samuel's black eyes flick to mine. It's a shame we have a woman of your caliber working in such a confined space. You can't keep creatives in a cage like this. I struggle to hide my smile. It feels good to finally be recognized. I think you'll be happy to see what I've created, regardless of where it was created, I reply. Samuel grins. Let's begin. He glances at Ryan, the look in his eyes serving as a silent act of dismissal. Ryan turns to me, disheartened. As much as I want him to stay, my career takes precedence over our relationship. To me, it's nothing personal. To Ryan, it's only personal, which is why he's my assistant and I'm not his. Ryan won't fight for the chance to play with the big shots like Samuel. Instead, he walks out of the office. Samuel's eyes follow Ryan, his disappointment lingering until the door closes. You have a new show for me, and it's good, Samuel declares as he claims the chair in the corner of the room. I can feel it in the way you carry yourself. Something's different about you since the last we met, and I like it. I beam in his direction as I sink into the chair behind my desk. Usually I'd be nervous pitching a concept to the owner of the biggest network in the country. He's going all in on me and I have no choice but to succeed. But that's not what keeps me from being nervous. What keeps me from being nervous is the fact that there's some kind of force pushing my idea. Samuel was right when he said something was different about me. Ever since the moment I opened myself to that faint whisper, I felt different. There's a greater good at play here, I just don't know what it is yet. Before a word leaves my lips, Samuel raises a finger toward the blank TV on the screen wall. No presentation? There's no need for one, I say confidently. There's no need for one because I've run through this pitch nonstop the past 48 hours. I've sat with it. I've slept with it. I've fallen for it. Samuel's yellow teeth reveal themselves in a crooked fashion. I love it already. I take one last deep breath before becoming the voice for the whisper that gave me this idea. The morning I met you, I was late to work. Bumper to bumper traffic, but not for the reason you would expect. Someone had committed suicide, jumped off the building, landing on the sidewalk pavement. The scene itself had no physical impact on the cars driving past it, yet the cars slowed to a halt before continuing on their way. The traffic was a result of something called morbid curiosity. Based on my research, morbid curiosity is the intense desire humans have to learn more about disturbing topics like death, violence, and tragedy. This form of curiosity lives in the shadows of our minds, waiting to be fed. It fuels the urge to look at car accidents when we drive by. It's why my shows have done so well. Our brains use morbid curiosity as an instinct for survival, forcing us to analyze a morbid situation until we consider it safe or dangerous. It's why it's nearly impossible to look away no matter how hard we try. Our brains are already programmed to react in that way. All Mendax needs to do is take advantage of that evolutionary programming. Samuel leans forward, placing his elbows on his knees. He covers his wicked smile, his excitement fueling the whisper now working through me. I continue. You said you want to go all in on one show, a show that will capture the eyes of millions and keep them. We capture their eyes by creating a show for the morbidly curious. We put death on center stage. We give the crowd violence. We give them tragedy, but deliver it with a positive spin and an opportunity for the crowd to engage. So with that in mind, here's the idea. Imagine a game show, each episode featuring 3 contestants. The contestants will be cast based on a simple criteria. They're all suicidal, and now they're willing to commit suicide on live television. Each of the 3 contestants will share their story, every detail that led to them wanting to take their own life. We'll broadcast all 3 of the contestants' emotional stories edited in mini segments, and viewers will vote for whichever contestant they feel the most sorry for. Once the voting window closes, the contestant with the most votes will win the cash prize, which is made up of every donation tied to a vote. Samuel's eyes narrow. Even in the darkness of his gaze, I see his giddiness. I feel his excitement brewing, and it manifests between us. How will the winning contestant receive the cash prize if they commit suicide at the end of the episode? He asks, crossing one leg over the other. The winning contestant won't receive the money, I reply casually. Their estate will. Samuel's eyebrows rise. Right on cue. I lean forward. The winning contestant commits suicide at the end of the episode, and the next day, the cash prize is hand-delivered to their estate or to a charity by a Mendax representative we'll call a prize handler. What we're doing is capitalizing on the crowd's morbid curiosity. What the crowd thinks we're doing is giving suicidal people the chance to die for a greater good. Their families, their friends, charities, anybody the winner chooses to donate the cash prize to. Samuel stands, locks his hands behind his back, and lifts his chin. His face is straight and difficult to read. Greater good, he whispers, repeating part of what I had said. We call the show Greater Good. The show for the morbidly curious, I add with a smirk. The room goes still. Chills cover my arms when I realize I'm standing. When did I stand? I just spoke with more passion than I ever could have fathomed, and while I want to take credit for this idea, I can't. It belongs to the whisper, the spirit that slipped this idea into my mind. How did you come up with this? Samuel asks, his skeptical tone suggesting he knows the answer. I fold my lips between my teeth, putting careful consideration into my answer. Samuel might think I'm crazy if I tell him the idea came to me through a whisper, a faint voice growing within the confines of my mind. If I'm not careful with this gift I've been given, I could find myself locked up in a psych ward before I even make it up on stage. A devious grin crosses Samuel's face, and I suddenly become aware that Samuel knows. Has he heard the whisper too? I think airing a show like Greater Good is how we can win back the crowd, I conclude. My only concern is how a show this morbid can be on live television. Getting people to literally off themselves on stage, it sounds nearly impossible. Samuel laughs under his breath. If you haven't learned this yet, the media runs the world, and Mendax is the media. If you can put together a test pilot episode as early as next week, I will get the approvals of every individual who can get Greater Good on television. He offers me his hand, and I shake it before I even decide to. I no longer feel his frozen grip. I hardly feel the chill at all, and I'm led to believe it's because whatever lives in Samuel now lives in me. It takes me an hour to get home from work, but the adrenaline makes the drive feel like the blink of an eye. I can't stop thinking about the look in Samuel's eyes when I won him over with my pitch. I won his approval and didn't realize how much I wanted that approval until I finally had it. But now, I want more. More appreciation, more praise. My lobby doors slide open and the dark pavement turns to freshly glossed wood floors under my heels. Even with the loud clicks of my heels, the few men scattered around the lobby somehow resist looking my way. It's not until the elevator doors close that I find silence for the first time today. My adrenaline has settled since the meeting with Samuel, giving me a second to call upon the whisper. I close my eyes, filling my chest with air. Come on, tell me something, I exhale. He loved the idea. Now what? The elevator is silent, no sounds but the machinery pulling the box of air to the 18th floor. No whisper. How the hell am I supposed to build on an idea that wasn't even mine in the first place? I push my apartment door open. It's dusk now, the city lights popping in contrast to a sky that is yet to turn black. The second I toss my purse onto the kitchen counter, I realize the lights are on. I never leave the lights on. A ruffling sound comes from my bedroom down the hall. Someone's in my apartment. I lower my stance, creeping around the kitchen island. With my eyes glued to the light cast across the hallway, I fish through a drawer for the longest knife I can find. My grip tightens on the knife when I see the shadow of a man stretch across the hallway wall. The shadow glides across the wall, but only for a split second before disappearing. He's in my room. I take a long, silent step, my back pressed against the wall leading to the hallway. I hold the knife, attempting to calm my nerves with shallow breaths. I peek around the corner, and the shadow glides across the wall again. I could call the police, I could cry for help, I could run, but then I'd miss a chance to see death at work. Warmth flows under my skin at the thought of death introducing itself to me or this man in a matter of moments. I hear him sifting through my dresser. Now's my chance. I reach the bedroom door and point my knife toward the man's naked back. My eyes trace down his sculpted torso, each ripple and contour telling a story of discipline and hard work. His muscles bulge and flex with even the slightest movements as he rummages through my lingerie. With the subtle clearing in my throat, he turns back to me, his hazel eyes meeting mine. He looks down at the knife in my hand as I raise it toward him. "You like what you see?" I ask with a cheeky grin. The corner of Ryan's lips curls up. "You just love pulling that knife on me, don't you?" I shrug. I'm in show business. I take my role-playing very seriously. Ryan laughs. I don't think he realizes his muscles tighten when he laughs. I like when Ryan laughs. Why am I always the bad guy in these scenarios? He takes a few steps closer. I gently slip the knife's tip through one of his belt loops. "Nora, don't..." I twist the knife, ripping through the belt loop. "Okay, now you owe me a new pair of pants." "I sign your paychecks. Haven't I bought you enough pants?" I toss the knife across the room seconds before Ryan's lips meet mine. His chest forces my back into the wall and I'm overwhelmed by his desire. I let him explore every inch of my mouth, though he already knows it so well. "How long has it been?" I exhale as his lips work their way down my neck. "Almost a week," he whispers against my collarbone. "Almost a week too long." Yes, Ryan is my assistant. No, I probably shouldn't be sleeping with him. In my defense, we set boundaries. No talks of a future between us, no dating. Just rough, passionate, stress-relieving, sensational sex. Ryan's hand trails down my chest, orchestrating the warmth that settles between my legs. A high-pitched squeak escapes me when he lifts me with ease. "You made me wait a damn week," I whine, wrapping his obliques with my legs. He smirks. "You could have asked me to come over." Asking you to come over defeats the purpose of the spare key. Not to mention, it's hard to feel desired when I have to ask you to come over. Our kisses deepen as I feel him grow hard between my thighs. I tighten my legs around him so he knows that I know how bad he wants me. He throws me onto the bed. His hair hangs along the sides of his head as he shakes his pants off. I raise my skirt and slip my panties off while I admire his physique. A light shines from above, casting shadows over his cheekbones, pecs, and the V-lines just below his abdomen. His lips dance along my calf, then my thigh, all the way up to my neck. My body responds by making it easier to receive half the length of him, then full, after he lifts one of my legs onto his shoulder and lays over me. I let him have his way with me the way I always do. With every thrust, I'm forced deeper into my own bed. Eventually, I hear him say the word that always seems to get me off. My name. "Nora." Ryan moans as I straddle him. "Fuck, Nora." I pleasure him the way I want to be pleasured. I praise him the way I want to be praised. Since I can't take, I will continue to give so that I can get. Though I yearn for his praise, I will never force it from him because true praise is never forced. True praise is from those who choose to praise. Ryan is one of the few who chooses to praise me. If only his praise were enough. The two of us lay in bed, our eyes fixated on the ceiling. The lights are off now, a cool breeze sweeping in from the open door separating us from my balcony. The warmth of our bodies radiates as we lie between the sheets. It's the most bittersweet part of these nights we share. It's bitter for me because it leads to the potential crossing of the boundaries we set, and it's sweet for Ryan because he likes to push those boundaries. I should call it a night. I want to call it a night. But I've noticed that the more nights I spend with Ryan, the more I open myself up to the light he carries. "How'd it go with Samuel today?" Ryan asks, his voice raspy. I gently graze my thumb over his chest hair. "It went well. He loved the show I pitched and wants to shoot the pilot episode next week. Next week? He really must have loved it if he's pushing to have it air that soon. I smile, the side of my cheek nestled against his shoulder. He still needs to get some approvals, but as long as I line everything up on my end, we're all set. When do I get to hear the idea? My smile fades. With Ryan taking everything at work personally, there's no way he would support greater good. I suppose there's also a chance this show doesn't get the approvals it needs, so I might as well wait to tell him. You get to see it live with everyone else. I prop myself up on my elbow, tracing his lips with my finger. No spoilers. Ryan rolls his eyes. Spoken like a true entertainer, Nora Fictus. He dips his head to mine, stealing a soft kiss. Or should I say, Nora Bennett? I playfully slap his chest as he laughs. He knows I hate when he assumes that we would end up married, or worse, that I would change my name. I've always made it apparent that my last name will never change, regardless of who I marry and when. Don't even joke, I groan. Ryan continues laughing as he pulls me over him. You say you don't like it, but you can't deny that it has a nice ring to it. Let's get this straight once again. I grab his jaw, forcing him to look me in the eyes. It's Nora Fictus, forever and always, I whisper before nipping his bottom lip. The conversation dissolves as we embrace each other again. With every second that passes, I force myself to hate the idea of taking Ryan's last name. I've always believed I'm meant for more than marrying a man or having kids. It would mean giving up on myself, giving up on my name, which is what the world will soon remember me by. Left! I shout to the 2 crew members hoisting up the LED screen. They move it right. Are you deaf or are you dumb? I said left! The crew members look at each other, mumbling something, then move the screen left. I hold down the button on my earpiece and ask, Can you confirm the audience prompter on stage left is visible from the back row? Confirmed. Ryan's voice responds to the earpiece. Let's turn the prompters on, I shout over the bustling crew members. People rush around the set, making final arrangements. The LED screens are mounted high on both sides of the center stage. My heart drops when they flash white a couple times before going black again. That's not on! I hiss, and within seconds, technicians are climbing ladders to fix the screens. There's only one place in this world I want to be, and it's on set for my TV shows. The cameras and lights creating the illusion of reality. The air is thick with the hum of energy and activity as my crew members move with passion and determination. A determination to tell a story, to put on a show. And it's my duty to make sure that the viewer is captivated by every second of it. Being on set is like being in on a secret. I'm one of the few who sees what happens behind the scenes. I see the imperfections and flaws that viewers are blind to. There's an alluring sense of power that comes with knowing what others don't know. It puts me above the masses. It separates me from the crowd. As I stand in the middle of the set, I take in my surroundings. Center stage is made up of wide paneled flooring, elevated a mere 2 steps. It's high enough to earn the audience's respect, but low enough to make them feel like whoever is on stage is their equal. 3 orange chairs are evenly spaced on the stage, each facing the stadium seats, rising behind me. The back wall behind the stage is one massive screen reading Greater Good in vibrant retro-style orange letters. It's happening. In only 3 days, Samuel and I were able to turn one of Mendax's studios into a captivating 70s-inspired set. Samuel insisted that I focus on running the show from behind the scenes, so I reluctantly spent late nights skipping through TV host audition tapes until I found Dorothy Meadows, the most beautiful and charismatic woman I have ever laid eyes on. It was the middle of the night, and I was just about ready to give up on finding the perfect host. The weight of giving my creation a face that isn't mine was unbearable from the start. Within a few seconds of each tape, I knew these nobodies weren't fit for greater good. I remember skipping through one after another thinking, too skinny, too fat, too tall, too short, tits too big, tits too small. Casting is often harder than it looks, and the professionals aren't kidding when they say, when you know, you know. The moment Dorothy's doe-eyed face filled the screen, I knew she was the one. With Greater Good set being the paradox it is, the more innocent and attractive our host is, the more morbid the show can be. On top of Dorothy's alluring charisma, the cherry on top is that Dorothy's a woman of color, and women of color are in. Every showrunner and casting agent in the industry knows it. While I spent the nights looking for Dorothy, I spent the days looking for the perfect contestants, Manhattan's saddest and most hopeless individuals with nothing to live for. That was the easy part, considering nowadays they flood the city streets like vermin. Dim the lights, I commanded in my earpiece. The studio lights dim, lending more power to the 3 lights shining over each chair on the main stage. Wonderful! I spread my arms, inhaling the sweet aroma of a perfect set prepped for a perfect show. The surrounding crew members share my enthusiasm through smiles and looks of admiration. I make my way up the staircase that separates the audience section down the middle. Ryan opens the door at the top of the stairs. Without moving his head, he flicks his eyes towards Samuel. Eyes, chin, shoulders. I remind myself as my posture follows. I smile, prepared to introduce Samuel to my impending masterpiece. I turn into the dark room to see him admiring the 22 screens stacked and aligned orderly along the back wall of the control room. The orange and blue lights emitted from the various camera feeds decorate his face as he stands over the 3 crew members toggling between control panels. I didn't think you'd be able to pull it off in 3 days, he says, his black eyes meeting mine. I didn't think it was possible either, but I still can't relax until this pilot episode is a wrap. You underestimate me. I step up to his side, the 2 of us observing the camera feeds. From views of center stage to views of the stadium seating where the crowd will soon sit. The control room is where we can see every angle of the show and studio. Thoughts? Why the 70s theme? Samuel asks. The 70s aesthetic is one of boldness and vibrancy. It's respectfully invasive. It's a captivating eyesore. It's a paradox. Samuel interrupts. I can't help but blush. He gets it. Exactly. The warmer the set, the colder the display can be without us scaring the audience away. Samuel nods. And the contestants? I turn my back to the screens and face the window overlooking the entire television set. It's the perfect view positioned over the back row of the audience. The backs of the seats cascade down to the cameras propped in front of the stage. It's one thing to witness a spectacle through a screen. It's another to witness it live. I feel Samuel's chilling presence glide to my side. I keep my voice hushed, whispering, I've cast 3 well-spoken homeless people. 1 is a junkie, 1 is a handicapped veteran, and 1 is a blind beggar. I was able to get each of them to share their stories with Dorothy in front of the camera, and my team worked all night on creating the edits, interview style. And the winning contestant? Do they know what they need to do to win the cash prize? I chew on my bottom lip. Sort of. To the contestant's knowledge, the pills the winner will overdose on are fake. Samuel pinches his eyebrows together. But they aren't fake. They aren't fake. They're real, and the winner will overdose. I take a deep breath, then exhale. But Mendax is in the clear. I worked with the legal team on the contract agreement. We flooded the contestants with paperwork and enough legal jargon to get the contestants to sign without understanding that they're literally signing their lives away. I nod, eyes locked on center stage where Dorothy is testing her microphone. That's right. The contestants saw the cash amount they can win and they didn't read much after that. They just got right back to signing. Samuel laughs under his breath. You were made for this business, Nora. My heart nearly skips a beat. Oh, Samuel. You just wait and see. Greater Good, the test pilot episode. 3 spotlights illuminate 3 plush orange chairs on stage. An unsettling presence makes itself known as the LED screen behind the chairs reads Greater Good in bright orange letters. On tonight's episode of Greater Good, 3 contestants will share their stories, the hardships they have faced, and what has led them to their breaking points. We've hand-selected these contestants based on their generosity and willingness to take their own lives on live television tonight, giving the winner's cash prize to their family estate or charity of their choice. 70s music plays and the audience applauds as Dorothy Meadows, the host, enters from stage left. Dorothy Meadows raises her hands, waving enthusiastically to the live studio audience. Her hair has been slicked back, falling straight down the arch of her back. The diamond choker on her neck glistens, her black dress tracing her curves as sheer sleeves flow gracefully toward the diamonds on her wrists. Good evening, and welcome to Greater Good, the show for the morbidly curious. Death is in the building, and it's prepared to take the life of tonight's winner in exchange for bettering the lives of others. Each contestant you will meet tonight has already decided where their cash prize will be donated, and it's up to you to determine how much that prize will be and which contestant will receive it. Now, let's meet our first contestant. Dorothy Meadows turns back to the LED screen, On the screen, a video plays of contestant number 1 in an intimate, dimly lit studio room. Can you start by telling us a bit about yourself?
Sure. Name's Alex. I'm 29. I've been struggling with drug addiction for a while now. It's been rough.
If it's not too much to ask, can you tell us about the first time you started using?
High school. I had a friend or two who smoked pot. I decided to try it, and I remember thinking it was the best thing ever. I was relaxed. I was happy. I didn't want to feel no different.
When did you realize drugs had become a problem?
It wasn't a problem at first. I did it every now and then, but I don't know. It got dull. It took using more to make me feel the high. That's when me and my buddies at the time, we started messing around with the more serious shit. Acid, coke, eventually heroin. It all spiraled down after that. The past 10 years of my life feel like one jumbled up, blurry dream. I lost my job, my place, my girl. I lost everything just to keep from coming down from the high.
Tragic. So what was your lowest point?
I hit rock bottom a few years ago. I was homeless, sleeping on the streets. I was begging for cash just to get the next fix. Worst part was that I knew before I even got the cash that it was going to go toward more drugs. I really needed help.
How did you find help? Did you find help?
I'm stuck in this never-ending cycle. I can't get out.
And that's why you're here today?
Contestant number 1 nods.
What do you plan to do with the winnings?
Give it to the addicts to help them break the cycle. 'Cause I ain't ever gonna break mine.
The LED screen fades to black. Contestant number 1 enters stage left to an applause from the live studio audience. Contestant number 1 takes a seat in the orange chair on stage left. The screen behind contestant number 1 displays a picture of contestant number 1. Dorothy, now standing behind contestant number 1 with her hand on his back. We feel for you, Alex. We commend you for your bravery and willingness to take your own life for a good greater than yourself. And now, let's meet our second contestant. A video plays on the LED screen revealing contestant number 2. Can you start by telling us a bit about yourself?
My name is Jonathan Bailey. I served for 3 tours, wounded in combat.
Wow. Thank you for your service, Jonathan. Can you tell us a bit about your experience in combat?
It was intense. Wish I could say it was rewarding. I saw things that no human should ever have to see. I was injured during combat and had to be medically discharged. I didn't come home the same.
What has life been like for you since your discharge?
I struggled to adjust to civilian life. I couldn't work a job while dealing with my PTSD. I can't shake the noise, the cries of my brothers in arms who lost their lives right next to me. I remember the looks on innocent people's faces just seconds before their lives were taken. And everywhere I go, I hear the noise. Everywhere I go, I see their faces. Kids and their mothers and fathers screaming and crying. I watched the world burn and fed the fire at the same damn time.
What would you like for people to know about veterans struggling with PTSD?
We're trying to get better. We're not all drug addicts, lazy bums, or damaged people. We have witnessed hell on earth. We're dealing with physical and mental health issues. We need your help, not your judgment.
I understand. So what do you plan to do with your winnings?
I want to donate it to my twin daughters, Maggie and May. Maggie, May, wherever y'all are. Your daddy risked his life for his country, and now he's going to take his life for you.
The screen fades to black. Contestant number 2 limps onto stage left to an applause from the live studio audience. Contestant number 2 takes a seat in the orange chair on center stage. The screen behind contestant number 2 displays a picture of contestant number 2. Dorothy, standing behind contestant number 2 with her hand on his back. We feel for you, Jonathan. We commend you for your bravery and willingness to take your own life for a good greater than yourself. I'm sure Maggie and May will admire you for your willingness to sacrifice your life for them. And now, let's meet our third and final contestant. Video plays on LED screen revealing contestant number 3.
Can you start by telling us a bit about yourself? My name is Maria. What's your story, Maria? I was a high school teacher up until a few years ago. I'm blind. I live on the streets and I have been for a while now. I lost everything. My sight, my home. Have you always been blind? I lost my sight to a rare disease. I get worse by the day and I can't afford to pay for any sort of treatment. I have no family to take me in, no friends. It's not like it matters anyway, though. I'm sick, and being this kind of sick, it's just gonna kill me eventually. It'll be the death of me. I'm sorry to hear that, Maria. What's it been like living on the streets as a blind woman? I've just about experienced it all. The worst of the world is on the streets, you know. I've been... Contestant number 3 pauses, attempting to contain her emotions. She places her shaking hand over her lips before continuing. I've been robbed. I've been beaten. I have been sexually abused out there, time and time again. I can't see the men myself, but I know some of these men aren't even homeless like me. Sometimes I hear them walking by, and they whisper to each other, fighting over who gets to have their way with me while I sit there on the sidewalk. They fight over me like it matters, but it doesn't. They all end up having their way with me anyway, and I have no strength to fight back. Simply living has become a form of suffering. There are such terrible, terrible people out there. They make me feel like I'd rather be dead. Is that why you're here today? I'm here because I can't go back out there. Then the two of us can only hope our viewers pick you as our first ever winner. If you win, what do you plan to do with your winnings? I want it donated to my former students' college funds. I believe in them and I only want the best for them. It's always been about the kids, and it's not their fault I ended up where I am today. Screen fades to black. Contestant number 3 enters stage left, escorted by a crew member to an applause from the live studio audience. Contestant number 3 sits in the orange chair on stage right. The screen behind contestant number 3 displays a picture of contestant number 3. A close-up shot shows Dorothy Meadows standing in front of the 3 seated contestants. A direct spotlight highlights her striking features. Well, folks, you have heard the testimonies of tonight's contestants. They have entrusted you with their vulnerability, and in turn, they offer themselves as martyrs for a greater good. So now, it's up to our live studio audience. Attached to your seats, you will find a clicker with buttons labeled 1, 2, and 3. This is your chance to select which contestant will earn tonight's cash prize. Camera feed cuts to close-up shots of each contestant from the comfort of their chairs on stage. The LED screen flashes $3 million in neon orange text. Dorothy's voiceover heard over videos of each contestant. Will it be Alex, who wishes to donate his winnings to the support groups fighting addiction? Will it be Jonathan, who wishes to donate his winnings to his beloved daughters? Or will it be Maria, who wishes to donate her winnings to her former students' college funds? Camera feed cuts to panning view of audience members observing the buttons on their clickers. Some are reluctant while others make up their minds on the spot. The camera feed cuts to the large LED screen display behind the contestants. An orange bar presents itself on the bottom left of each contestant's picture. The number 0 is displayed above the bar in yellow. Once all the votes are in, the orange bar will rise, showing us who received the most votes, making them the first ever winner of Greater Good. Momentary silence as the camera continues panning over the audience members. They discuss with one another and make their final decisions. I've just received words that the votes are in. We have our winner. After careful consideration, you have made your votes. You've graciously chosen who will take their life to better someone else's, and collectively, you have made the world a better place. So the winner of tonight's episode is... The studio is silent as the orange bars rise and the yellow numbers climb higher, counting the votes. The bars eventually come to a halt, contestant number 3's being the highest. Maria! The audience and the other contestants applaud as a crew member assists contestant number 3 in standing at center stage. Maria, how do you feel being Greater Good's first ever winner? Contestant number 3's hands shake nervously as her clouded eyes stare into the distance. I don't know what to say or feel. I'm starting to think maybe this is... It's okay to be so excited that you're lost for words. Is there anything you'd like to say to your former students who will receive a generous $3 million thanks to you? I hope they live very happy lives, and I hope they find their place in this world. Well said, Maria. Mendax thanks you for giving up your life to better the lives of others. A crew member enters from stage left with a golden tray. Placed in the center of the golden tray are 3 black pills and a glass of water. The crew member stands patiently between Dorothy Meadows and contestant number 3. Now, Maria will commit this act out of sheer bravery, courage, and generosity. Maria, please extend your open palm to receive your 3 pills and water glass. Contestant number 3 extends her open palms. The crew member places the 3 black pills in the center of her quivering left palm, then the glass in her right. The crew member exits stage left. When you're ready, Maria. Contestant number 3 lifts the pills to her lips, pours them into the back of her throat, then chases the pills with water. Contestant number 3's foggy eyes hover over the audience. They suddenly pause, fixating on something directly in front of her. Once blind, she now seems to see something nobody else can see. The water glass leaves her hand, shattering against the floor between her feet as she struggles to breathe. Her body stiffens, seconds before she collapses onto the broken glass. She convulses on the floor, the shards of glass slicing her arms and back open as she foams at the mouth. Dorothy Meadows' jaw drops at the sight of contestant number 3. She stutter steps back, covering her mouth. Contestant number 3's body finally stills. She now lies motionless on the floor. She remains nothing but a corpse, her eyes still fixated on the audience before her. Foam trickles down her right cheek, forming a puddle on the floor. Dorothy Meadows glances at the camera, speechless. After several silent beats, the crowd suddenly erupts in applause. They cheer the loudest they have cheered tonight. They stand to their feet, a standing ovation, their claps shaking the studio, Dorothy shaking off her confusion. Thank you for tuning in to Greater Good, and we'll see you next week.
That's a wrap. One of the crew members exhales, removing his headset. Fucking hell. The crew member next to him mutters. That was intense. The control room is silent, the wall of screens still capturing the different angles of the studio and set. Movement is picked up on every screen but one, the screen showing a close-up of contestant number 3's face. It brings me joy realizing I can't take my eyes off the screen, no matter how hard I try. It means the audience most likely had the same reaction. I feel a comforting hand on my shoulder. That was art, Samuel whispers smoothly. Without turning from the screens, I ask, do you think the audience actually liked it? You heard them clapping, Samuel replies. I let out an exhale. Because the prompters told them to. I remove my earpiece and catch Ryan staring at me from the back corner of the room. A line shows between his eyebrows, his jaw clenched. For some reason, the light he once carried has no effect on me. He also doesn't need to voice that none of this sits right with him because it's written on his sheer look of disapproval. Maybe one day he'll understand that it's just show business. Ryan opens the door to a crew member struggling to catch her breath. Nora, we've been trying to reach you. What is it? I ask. The audience prompters, she blurts out between heavy breaths. Remember when we ran a test earlier and they cut out? Well, they cut out again mid-show, and we never got them to work again. The audience's response was completely organic. The standing ovation was their natural, real response. My eyes widen as I drop my earpiece to the floor. It echoes in the silence. And it's in the silence that I hear the whisper again, this time clear as day. It makes its way into the shadows of my mind. It fills the hole in my heart. It introduces me to the inevitability of its existence. It calls upon me to do its bidding, and I willingly accept. The whisper belongs to death, and it's in the silence that I finally hear, Death is here.